Hello everybody and welcome to the GMS Magazine channel. I am Paco Garcia, your host, and today I want to give you 5 tips on how to be a better ambassador for your hobby. The following video has been inspired and mostly copied from an article published by Neil Litherland over at Vocal Media, and I thank him very much for allowing me to create this video inspired on that article. Also, if you would like to check out more of his geeky content, nerd ephemera and gaming related stuff, then don't forget to stop by his full vocal archive or his gaming blog, Improved Initiative. 5 things you can do to be a better ambassador for your hobby. We all have hobbies, from historical reenactment to tabletop RPGs to horror movies, comic books and more. These are the things that make us happy. They are the activities and media that we turn to when we need to decompress, and they are often where we go to find community. However, something we often forget is that for our hobbies to grow, we need to actually expand our numbers, as in bring more people on board and share the goodness with. Without fresh blood coming in, communities shrivel. Worse, for those built around a particular type of media or a certain franchise, it's possible that a shrunken community won't be able to support production of more of the content we want to see, which is why it is in our best interest to be ambassadors for our hobbies. The problem is that a lot of us geeks, nerds and enthusiasts don't seem to know how to do that. No, for real, some people just wow. And the likelihood is that you want to be a good ambassador. So you might already be doing one or more of these things that I'm going to talk about anyway, but it might be worth to keep in mind these tips. Number 1 is be a guide, not a gatekeeper. You haven't seen the original Friday the 13th? Oh, you're in for a treat. We have all encountered gatekeepers in our hobbies. They tend to be the people set in their ways, who lurk near the third shelf in the comic store, or who sit at the head of the gaming tables with books and cards laid out in front of them like the universe's geekiest wizard. They treat all those who enter their domain as aspirants, and they pepper them with questions and deride anyone who doesn't answer to their satisfaction. They are the people who insist that RPGs must be played one way or another, or that the system is the system and the rest are there as mere substitutes for the weaker player or GM. Very often they wave their "I started playing this year" card as if that was some sort of license to determine how games should be played. They exist solely to determine if the person the gatekeeper is speaking to has enough knowledge of lore and trivia to be allowed into the kingdom of the true fans and tell them how to belong into the hobby as they see fit. These people are the worst. Gatekeeping is one of the most harmful things you can do, as it drives people away from your hobby and creates artificial barriers to enjoyment. If you are someone with a deep knowledge of your hobby who can call upon the plot arcs, game designers, gaming system NPCs and a whole plethora of wisdom, why not be the guide? Guides actively help those who are newer to a hobby or who may not know the more obscure corners, leading them to areas of enjoyment they might otherwise miss. Rather than judging people as not being worthy of the title of fan or imposing a way of play to run a game, a guide is more concerned with nurturing the interest and offering new ideas to the new people into their hobby and ensuring that they aren't left floundering, unsure of where to go next. A guide is someone who uses knowledge and power responsibly and puts the hobby first, and their wants and need only come after the needs of the newcomer have been satisfied. They set the example of how other fans should act when they get a chance to bring someone new into the hobby. Number 2, make it about your audience. So, you're more of a space wizard or naval drama fan. Something that a lot of us forget when it's time to make a pitch to someone about our hobby is that just because we love a certain property, activity or aspect, that doesn't mean that the person we're talking to is going to be on the same page. As an example, Most social media groups dedicated to tabletop gaming have posts where people are asking what game is the best to get introduce their friends to the hobby. And whilst there is always a slew of people recommending the games and editions they learned on, the smarter moves always come in the form of a question. What is your favorite property that has an RPG attached to it, for example? Or what is the most favorite fiction genre? Too often we try to bring new people through the same doors that brought us into our hobbies, a strategy that only works if the person you're talking to shares a lot of your interests and likes. Everyone is different, so it really pays to tailor the experience to what you know they like. Then, once they're in and enjoying themselves, see if they're game for visiting your particular corner of the hobby to see if it suits them as well as it suits you. Facilitate a positive experience. It's one thing to guide new people to the parts of your hobby you think they'll enjoy. But if you can, go the extra mile to provide a proper experience for them. Whether it is hosting a movie day, running a one-shot game, or handing them your copy of a particular graphic novel so they can read it, this is one of the best things that you can do as an ambassador. This is particularly important for hobbies that are hard to get into or which tend to be expensive. As an example, someone might really like the idea of getting a $50 game, but they don't know if they're going to like it or have the time to play it and are unsure about spending the money. If you have the time, you could give them that experience and guiding them through the game. There are a lot of, restaurants that give you a taster for free, after all. If your hobby is for them, this will be all it takes. Don't tolerate bad behavior in your community, that's number 4. Not even a little bit. I have recorded plenty of videos about problems and bad actors in the gaming hobby, and will do so again, worry not. But it bears some very serious repeating. Do not tolerate bad acting from your community, period. Sometimes that means you need to take action and confront toxic elements, which is not pleasant. But you don't let things fester on your watch. You're trying to make your community a place you want to invite your friends to, not a haven for cockroaches. Whether it is people using slurs when they get mad at the table, creeping on and sexually harassing newer members, hazing, an inability to control one's temper, or any of the slew of other bad behaviors, don't just shrug your shoulders when you see it. Call it out. If you can do so safely, report it to anyone with authority, like the owner of the comic shop, or moderator of a social media group or board, etc., and do what you can to clean house. Sometimes you might have to take a step further and create a safe space of your own. Start a new LARP where the Broken Stairs players won't be allowed to join, for instance, or open your own social media group for talking about whatever you want to, where standards of discourse will be enforced, and so on and so forth. Create the change you want to see. Big up your likes instead of venting your hates. That's number 5. It takes some work, but it's worth it. This was without a doubt the hardest thing for me to do on this entire list. Because as several of my friends have pointed out, I have a talent for disliking things, and even when I don't want to, often I sound like I'm ranting. That's just me, seriously. And with that said, I cannot stress enough how important this is. Negativity can be overwhelming, and if all you do is complain, it can give people the impression that your hobby and its community are intensely negative places to be, or have an extremely high or nitpicky standards, which is still a black mark. On the other hand, sharing things you love with people can lead to infectious pleasure and create positive shared experience instead of a trauma bond. Don't worry, you still get to complain and criticize things you disagree with. However, if you want to get people to walk through your hobby's front door, don't lead them with that. It sends entirely the wrong message. Also, if you can break the habit of just being negative about things you dislike in your hobby all the time, it actually allows you to enjoy the things you like that much more. So it's a win-win situation. So with all these things, what are you going to do to be a better ambassador for your hobby? What do you do to be a great ambassador for your hobby? Please do leave, comments down there, and do visit Neil's blog and archive, which is also linked in the video description. Thank you so much for being there, and I will talk to you very, very soon. Take care.